Good morning, good evening, depending on what time of day you get to see this. My name is Tavaris Cox. I often sit back and wonder exactly what the Bible is saying, exactly when I read it, what God is telling me to do or what God is informing me of. And today, one of the things that came across to me was the act of worshiping other idols, other things. And the Bible clearly tells us that we should not do it. In fact, it says it specifically twice. Exodus 20:3 says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." And then we see it again in Deuteronomy 5:7. "Thou shalt have none other gods before me." Now, when you sit back and you think of gods, yes, we may think of those things that we worship, those people or those things or whatever you want to call it in those specific high places. But how about the things that you worship here on earth? For example, I see and hear and witness a lot of people that are so wound up and wrapped around money. The Bible does tell us that the love of money is the root of all evil. So why is it that so many of us are so wrapped up in money? We worship money. We do whatever we can do for money. So that then becomes our God. That then becomes what we worship. That then becomes the thing that we want more than anything. What our heart desires more than anything is money. And then you have to think, because you want so much money, what are those things that you want to do with the money? Some people want it just to be seen, be known, be flashy. Others want it for certain worldly possessions. And then those possessions become their God as well. So on today, I want to tell you that God is the only thing that we should be worshiping. Jesus, whom died on the cross for all of us, should be the only thing and person, the only God that we are worshiping. Any and everything that we want on this earth, we can have. He will allow us to have it. He will give it to us. He will open those doors for us to receive it. But first, we must worship him. We must praise him. We must do the things that he is telling us to do. I know it sounds cliche-ish, and I know it may seem, yeah, okay. However, the Bible clearly tells us anything that we want, anything that we desire, if we ask for it, we will receive it. Now, one of the things we do need to keep in mind, though, is we just can't live how we want to live and do what we want to do and then ask him for something, and then when we don't receive it, we get upset. We need to live by his word, because the Bible also tells us to honor our parents. So just like when you do with your children, as long as your children are doing what you tell them to do, you will reward them. But if they don't do what you tell them to do, then they will be punished. So think of that as the same thing as with God, what he tells us to do. And the main thing that he tells us to do is to worship him and him alone. So let's go forth today and look at the many different ways in our lives that we can scale back on other things and find ways to worship him in all that we do. I want each and every one of us to do that, is to find ways to worship him instead of worshiping those things that we may have been worshiping prior to. God bless.